When leadership sleeps through a crisis, or when leadership suns itself on a beach in Chania through a crisis, then leadership needs to be excoriated, ridiculed, satirized, mocked, and ultimately brought to heel. So let's examine two men, both holding titles of serious responsibility, both caught metaphorically and literally with their pants down, snoozing at the switch. On the one side, we have Thomas Waldby, the new chief executive of Heathrow Airport, only a few months into the job, made his public debut by holding the reins of command during crisis in the most ridiculous way. He's taken an example from Dominic Raab by gliding serenely across the ballroom dance floor in Manhattan, and the other, Dominic Raab, the then Foreign Secretary, spotted stretched out on a sunbed in Crete as Kabul collapsed to the Taliban. Both men have become unwitting poster boys for a modern malaise, the eider-down of power. And that curious softness which allows those in high office to wrap themselves in comfort even as chaos cackles just beyond the duvet's edge. Let's start with Heathrow. When a substation fire plunged one of the busiest airports in the world into darkness, it was not the flames that should have shocked the public so much. It was that while planes diverted mid-air, passengers slept on cold tiles and computers ground to a halt, the man at the top went to bed, not metaphorically, literally. It was, we are told, for safety reasons, because apparently rest is now part of emergency protocol. Would-be dialed in for an update at 7:30 a.m. and arrived at HQ just after 9, and meanwhile airline CEOs worked through the night trying to piece together a jigsaw of global disruption. Would-be, however, seemed more interesting in threading the needle of blame, noting that the fire began outside Heathrow's purview. But as any true leader knows, command doesn't just begin where your jurisdiction ends. If your terminal is full of stranded passengers, you are in the crisis, no matter who owns the wires. And now, Mr. Raab in 2021, as Kabul crumbled under the Taliban advance, Raab reclined by the Mediterranean, reportedly refusing to come off the beach to take urgent calls. A holiday, he said. Well earned, he said, perhaps. But his absence was not merely untimely, it was symbolically catastrophic. The biggest foreign policy debacle since Suez, and our foreign secretary was, as one eyewitness put it, lounging around on the beach. There are moments when diplomacy demands more than a sun hat and a mojito. These are not isolated lapses. They represent a deeper erosion in the moral architecture of British leadership. It's not that a man must never sleep or never holiday, it's that there are times when duty suspends personal pleasure, when the idea of rest becomes an insult to those affected, those diverted, delayed, or in danger. The language of both men is revealing. Raab justified his actions by blaming junior officials. Would-be blamed the energy company. In both cases, there was no sense of sacrificial leadership, no statement along the lines of "this ends with me," no public sense that when systems fail, a leader absorbs the weight. This is not leadership, this is choreography. It is the performance of duty without its burdens. One dances through Manhattan, the other basks in Crete, while their realms descend into chaos. And what do they leave in their wake? Not merely logistical failure, but moral vacancy. And yet the satire writes itself. One pictures Would-be setting an out-of-office email during a fire, currently sleeping, please direct all infernos to Javier. Or Raab, sunburnt on a lilo while military jets scramble over Kabul. Ooh, let's slap on some Factor 10. I've got a plan to get into number 10. Monty Python couldn't improve on the absurdity. Why, Factor 10! But satire is not just laughter. It's the mechanism of accountability. Because both men, by virtue of their station, should never hear the end of it. Not because they were overwhelmed, but because they chose to underwhelm at precisely the moment they were required to step up, to lose sleep, to break routine, or to lead. Leadership is not glamorous. It doesn't tango on penthouse floors. It doesn't recline while embassies fall. It burns the midnight oil. it answers the phone at 1:44 a.m. And if you want an example of leadership, during the Brighton bombing, when so many people were bombed while they were sleeping, Mrs. Thatcher was still working. And if there are consequences to be borne, leadership bears them visibly. So whether it's Heathrow or Heraklion, terminals or Taliban, the lesson is this: you cannot delegate presence. And when you're in charge, your absence speaks volumes.